have the ear of young people to affect change in the decisions that they ultimately make? Because ultimately, marijuana use is about making a choice and making decisions. So do you feel like you have any kind of influence or power over the decisions that they're making?
Are you directing it at
Anybody.
Anybody, any faith leader?
Yes. No, I'm a realist. Yeah, there's an influence, and they know the standard. Do they wander away from that? Yes, just like most of us do. But then, let's come back, let's get a little sense. I mean, we all do foolish things, and we know, okay, that standard is there. As long as that standard's there, it helps to draw them back. Is it going to prevent them from doing, making some bad decisions? Depending on the circumstance, we realize that because we've all been there. But, all right, now what is a sensible way to act? How do I recover? Where's my repentance? That's what we're there for.
I ask because some churches I know operate as community organizations where they reach out to the communities around them, and some churches operate as an island where we focus on the kids who come to Sunday school, church school, and come to after-school programs. So I'm just asking because I see a need not only for interaction with the actual community, but interaction within churches to create a network where we're helping our young people, navigate this life thing and really understand what's out there and make better choices for themselves. So that was the premise of my question.
And also, I think another thing that we got to recognize, and one thing I always end up saying is that the church sometimes is a decade behind where society is, right? You will have a sociological shift that takes place in society. For example, when I sit down with young folks and they apply for a job, I say, "You on drugs?" They say, "No." I say, "Okay. You smoke reefer?" "Yeah." "Well, I just asked you whether you're on drugs." Right? They said, "Well, that ain't no drug." Right? Because what you've had is a kind of shift that has taken place within the culture. Now they will see crack as a drug, they see heroin as a drug, they see cocaine as a drug, but you got a whole group out there that do not see marijuana as a drug, right? And so therefore, it's a disconnect when you say to them, for example, in order to get that job, your urine has to be clean, right? And so sometimes we say it like that. There's another way where we got to get very specific about what we mean in order to make that connection sometimes, right? And that's a part of sort of reaching with young folks and being able to talk to them. Our problem is that sometimes we pretend as if it doesn't exist and as if this communication gap doesn't exist, right? And so, we got to sort of like be, I think, get sometimes very dead honest about what we really are saying, what we really mean in that discussion, right? It's like the whole discussion around sex, right? We have that discussion, we beat all around the bush, right? And still haven't said what we intended to say, right? I mean, I'm just sort of getting at it, and sort of like the church gets very timid in certain areas of being very specific and also making the connection, because a lot of times the respect comes with the connection, even if y'all don't agree.
What I'd say in our situation is not like we should. We're not connecting like we should. I've been having a young adult Bible study, and what's interesting is they're asking questions that my generation did not ask, my parents' generation, and the next generation. They're asking questions like, why should I be a Christian? Why should I come to church? Why is this important? We never ask those kinds of questions. And so the church has to be a space that will hold those kinds of questions and point people toward the communal reality of what faith is, even where we're not agreeing on certain things. So I was reading in an anthology something that Benjamin Mays wrote when he was at the University of Chicago about the sociology of the black church. And he wrote about the disconnect between the leadership in the church and young people. And it's like 100 years ago. So it's a perennial challenge because those in leadership are normally 2 to 3 generations behind where youth culture is. So how do you establish the kinds of conversations? And really what they're not looking for from the church is to be morality police, which I don't think we can do, but they're looking for us to point them in a direction where their humanity and their desire, how shall I say it, to be in a place that honors who they are and honors who God is. It's a challenge. It's an ongoing challenge, day by day.